my first Web3 job was very, very interesting because there was no interview. The interview was to discuss salary. I've seen somebody portfolio, like one of his portfolio, $100,000 plus. One of his portfolio. I'm like, okay, am I even in Web3? Oh my God, like, am I doing the wrong thing?
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Builders Block, where I interview founders and builders in the African Web3 ecosystem. Today I have with me a seasoned builder, a software engineer, a technical writer, and he currently works as a developer advocate in a Web3 company. And pretty much the goal of today's video is for him to share actionable tips on how to transition into Web3, especially as a developer, and also how to get your first job in the Web3 space. And also be diving into the specifics of how he transitioned into Web3, how he got his first job, and how he's currently navigating developer advocacy, and also combining being the founder of Web3 Afrika. And this is no other person than Idris Olubisi. And so I would like you to introduce yourself.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Hi everyone, my name is Idris Olubisi. I'm a software engineer and also a technical writer. I currently work as a developer relations engineer at Interops Lab, working on the Axelar network, and also the founder of Web3 Afrika, which is a community to onboard, support, and educate Web3 builders within the space. So I'm really excited to be here to share, amazing tips with everyone, and also share my own personal experience in the space, what I have done differently, and some of the challenges along the line.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, so today is going to be like, sharing cool stuff and also learning from your experience. But before we go right into, the part of Web3 and all, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and, how you started, basically?
Yes. So I started my background I studied electrical electronics engineering.
Oh, nice.
It's a 5-year course. I started the whole tech thing when I was in my finals, and not because I wanted to, actually. As an electrical electronics engineer undergraduate, I needed to build a project. But the requirement is for you to build a software and a hardware.
Okay.
Like you have to combine both. Like you need to code something for something to happen.
Right.
Then let the world see what you are controlling with your code in real life.
In real life.
So that was when I got introduced to embedded system using Arduino. At the time, it was C++. So, like every other person, I tried to reach out to a lot of people to get their own help on how I can achieve that particular thing. And then at the point, this guy always explained all of this concept to me, like, you can understand this, you can do this yourself.
Right.
Because in these two, I'm supposed to defend that in front of professors. So I need to know how the system works.
Yeah.
So that's where the curiosity started. Like, if he can go as far as telling me what is happening line by line, then it looks like something interesting I could try it on my own.
Yeah, right.
And then immediately after school, I started learning. I started with C++, continue the whole C++ and embedded system.
Right.
But at the time, I knew I wanted to do more than embedded system because I was Googling jobs around embedded system. I realized that majority of, at least the people I know, they end up becoming like a STEM tutor.
Okay.
They end up teaching. They just set up a place and started teaching. But that was not what I want to be. Like that, I wanted to build a website. I want to get money. I want to build site for people.
Right.
I want to become a software engineer. And then I found out HTML, CSS, and JavaScript.
Yeah.
My system got stolen at the time. I started with my phone.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I started the whole journey with my phone.
Yeah.
At the time, I remember clearly I was learning software engineering with SoloLearn. I don't know if SoloLearn still have app, but then they have this app And the cool part is that there was no internet. I was broke actually. I couldn't afford internet.
Okay.
So if I'm not on campus, then I'm probably, if I'm at home, there's no internet because I don't have data, I don't have money to subscribe. So, but then the cool thing about the solo learning application, that the mobile app, is that they allow you to sync offline data. So even if you are not connected to internet, you can continue your learning. Then whenever you are connected to internet, they will sync it up and then it works. So when I figured that I could do that, that's how I started learning. I did HTML certification, CSS, SQL, Python. There's so many certifications I did there because I was just exploring things. And that's how the whole journey started. And immediately after school, I started looking for a role. But one thing I did differently, like during my NYSC period, I was also giving, software engineering a try, try it on the side. There was no system, but I was just continuing with my phone. And then trying to keep up. That kind of energy that you keep up, but you don't code, but you just keep up. Until I finally got a PC that the screen was bad. I had to save up to repair. And, the journey is kind of tough, but we're grateful. And then after that, that's how I pick up software engineering again. And then I started learning. But at the time, I wanted opportunity. So I wasn't so sure which one I should pick. Is it my elect job? I was seeing so many graduate engineering roles. And also, is it the tech thing? So at the time, but luckily for me, luckily for me. So I started applying normal role, but I didn't get any response. I was like, okay, let me try internship. Maybe front-end engineering role or the roles I'm applying for is they require way more experience, right? And then that's how I end up, applying, and I got my first internship.
Nice.
And I had knowledge with, I think I was working with JavaScript and Python at the time, plus my C++. So these are me, jumping and then seeing things. But then the opportunity presented itself, but on C#. So it was a tough decision, but I just had to give it a try. And I told myself that after 6 months, if I'm not comfortable with it, I will just try something else. So that's how I started and got a full-time role after that particular internship with the same company. We were about 6 of us. They gave 2 of us an employment, and that's how I started the career as a software engineer since then.
That's really amazing, going from elect to now working full-time in tech as, an engineer. That must have been quite a number of things for you. So, racking up all of this experience, how would you describe yourself in 3 words?
In 3 words, I would say SDD.
Okay.
Yeah, Sapa-driven developer. That's the reality. I think I've used that word before, but it's usually Sapa-driven development. But using it to describe myself, I would say Sapa-driven developer.
Right.
Because out of school, I needed no allowance. Again, you need to find something doing, and then you need to pay bills. So I was driven by Sapa. It's internal. At the time, it wasn't Sapa, right? I think Sapa thing started 2018 or so. But so at the time, around 2018, I need to face reality. My dad was late already at the time, and so just my mom. And I'm not the type of person that is comfortable with, Mom, I want to do this, I want to do that, and all of that. So I needed to, just start something. So I was driven by, I need to survive first.
Yeah.
And I think there's this, my friend I mentioned, this Aviyel. Aviyel also mentioned so many people came to this place the money first. Before any other thing.
Right.
Yeah, so that kind of resonated with me a lot because I also not even Web3, I need to survive first.
Right.
And then that's how I started looking for opportunities. So that's the best thing that could I think could describe the whole thing right now. That I'm just driven by Sapa by default.
Yeah, so if you're also looking to get into tech, I think you have to be Sapa driven, right? So SDD.
You should be curious about it because and serious, not just curious, very serious about it, because a lot of people will say Sapa, but if you check their action towards
doesn't match.
It doesn't really match. So the energy came from Sapa. I need to survive. I need to survive. So that's how the whole thing started.
Amazing. So you have to be Sapa driven. Outside of Sapa driven, let's talk a little bit about what's one weird or random thing that people don't know about you.
Interesting. a lot like like people know a lot about me,
Yeah.
but things that people don't know is so I think it's two things.
Okay.
Yeah. So the first one is like I share what people want to know, like what I want people to know about me publicly.
Yeah.
I try to balance from like things I put out there and then things people the type of information people get access to. That's number one. And I think number two is that I genuinely like to support. When I mean genuinely, like this is me like being serious about the whole thing. Like, I want to support, and I don't really look for like a return or something because I think growing up, my life learning, I've been downloading free courses, met a lot of people that give me links to sites that I can download things.
Yeah, right.
Met people that like kind of help me with maybe not direct help, but like tell me what to do. When I wanted to accept the role at the internship role, a friend of mine convinced me to. I said no, C# is hard. I can't continue. Like no,
right.
Things I've heard about C# is not friendly, so I don't think I want to try it. But he convinced me. So those kind of kind gestures, like it rings in my head, like I need to pay it forward. So it comes naturally, and I still get like a lot of help, opportunity, feedback from people, kind gestures from a lot of people till today.
Yeah.
So which just kind of helped me to also always pay back. So if I want to support, I genuinely want to support you.
Yeah.
And this is something I don't know if people know that, but this is something I just want to put out there. Like maybe if you don't know now, you know.
Yeah. I mean, 100% because I mean, I messaged Idris and he kind of like, oh, I mean, I'm down. Let's do this. So I think I kind of like agree with you 100%. Like support people. Maybe most persons don't know, but
yeah, and that has bet a lot of things for me. Today, what Web3 Afrika is you know, listening to somebody and then trying to pay it forward.
Okay.
Today. So and also like some opportunities I've gotten, also some, you know, reaching out to people, trying to get their help or like support. It has also helped me personally. So yeah, I think that's something, I don't know, maybe the list is long, but those two things like stood out, and this is something like I think people don't know about me.
Don't know. Yeah. I mean, really nice. So let's now talk about, you know, Web3 and, you know, how you transition from like the software engineering role and what actually like piqued your interest. Why should you transition right into like Web3?
That's a very good question.
Yeah.
Because I've been working as software engineer in Web2. Back end of my life, I hate CSS. CSS, hear this, I hate it. So like my entire life, I tried front end and I transitioned to back end. I've been working on building software. And I think at my very early stage of my career, I was opportune to work on a production-based application, work for the likes of NNPC, work for MTN, Access Bank. You know, they have like intranet solution they build, so we kind of help them build the application. We customize the application, so that opens up my mind to what is possible for me to do. And then transitioning from, so at the time being a backend engineer like full time, I added content creation, like creating technical content, writing. Then somebody tweeted, it's not somebody, I think it's Nada. He tweeted about NFT or something, or blockchain, not NFT, blockchain. At the time, NFT was trending, but he tweeted about blockchain. And then I just checked it out. I'm like, oh, maybe this is just another trend. Let me just move on. But later on, I realized how fascinating it is. And then, because I was curious to know what is powering NFT. And then I realized that it's blockchain. I'm like, oh, cool. What are some other things this thing can do? And then going through platforms, I realized I can transfer my skills to my existing skills to start learning in Web3. But then I wasn't so sure. You know, it's like transitioning from Web2 to Web3. I don't just want to transition without knowing what exactly this space is all about. So I started digging in. I started writing content in Web3, even working as a front end, like as a backend engineer in Web2. And luckily for me, I started getting like paid gigs. Like,
really?
Yeah. I was already I was still in Web2. I was writing Web3 content. And the fun part is like CEOs were reaching out to me like on Twitter directly. And they'll be like, oh, I saw one of your content. Would you be interested in creating this for us? I still work with some of them till today. And that kind of blew my mind, like, oh, means like there are opportunities here. Okay, probably I can dig in.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's something I needed at the time. I've invested so much in a way that I can't just stop content creation. I can't stop technical writing.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I want to stop at the time. So I wanted a role that can combine technical writing and back-end engineering for me.
Okay.
And the only role that came to mind was, as at then, was DevRel, like dev advocacy.
Yeah.
And also like, okay, if I can do that, then because I also had like challenges at the time, transitioning, getting software, getting opportunities, meeting communities, knowing people that are also doing the same thing like mine. So I feel like, oh, this probably is the perfect match because I also want to help support the community. I also want to, I don't want to support the community as a program manager or something like that. I still want to like code, I want to build technical things. And that's how I spot that opportunity for transitioning. And that's how I was able to like transition at the time to Web3. Yeah.
Oh.
So that's the interesting part is the blockchain thing and then the curiosity and then following the opportunity I got and which I feel like, oh, I might probably, if I do more, maybe I'll get more out of these things.
Oh, nice. So that means, I mean, from what you said, you actively like worked in the space. I mean, leveraging like your skills. Of course, you were curious enough, but then at the end of the day, it was more about doing. Right, something like that, because you didn't just like stay and be like, oh, okay, maybe. You were writing content, and like that brought about connections, that brought gigs and all of those things. So, what would you like to say to a newbie who wants to like transition into Web3?
Yeah, so when you mean newbie, like somebody with no technical experience, oh, nice. Yeah, so my advice is like it's always the same thing, anyways. But one thing you should note is that you need to get your craft in very well. First, that's the first thing. So try to define what you want to become. So while I was trying to get into tech, I think the best way to express this is like share my own experience. So while I was trying to get into tech, I was curious, and at the same time, I wanted to know, I knew what I wanted, at least to an extent then, that I want to become a software developer. But what I started with was embedded system building stuff. And then when I checked the career path, I knew like a lot of people end up becoming like a STEM tutor, which is good. I'm not saying it's not good, but for me, it doesn't really sit well with me at the time. Like I want somebody, you meet me on the road and tell me, oh, what do you do? I'm a software developer. Oh, can you build this site for me? I want to like use this to receive payment, or I want to sell something. E-commerce site, all of those things. Like I want to be able to build that and then make money. So that's the whole point for me, and that helps me with the way I approach like what I need to do to get to that stage. So as a newbie, if you want to, you need to define what exactly you want. So knowing is the first thing. So one of the best way to start is like check YouTube, right? Search on YouTube and then ask fields in tech. When you search that kind of thing, you see like a lot of videos around like the available fields that you can try. And try to watch the video to the end. Pay attention to everything. Write it down. And then note that, oh, if you are a UI UX designer, this is what you should be doing, or like will probably be doing. There's also cybersecurity, there's software engineering, there's program management, there's community management, there's project management. There's a lot of fields, right? And then that way you can get understanding of what each fields entail. And you can see if it resonates with you or not. And after that, the next thing I would do if I am just getting started is, after that, I'll pick my top 2.
Okay.
And then that top 2, I will try and search again on YouTube particular curriculum for those top 2.
Okay.
Right. And then why I'm saying top 2 is that sometimes when you pick front-end, for example, or like software engineering, you might start and you feel like, this code thing is not, I don't think it's my thing, right? Then you can fall back on the second option, right? And then that way you can now continue and start. But if you still think that, oh, I think the second option is not bad, but I still think I can do better the first option, you can go back to it. So that's why you should have like two options. And then try to search for like curriculum. I think you spend a lot of time researching. There are a lot of information out there, but the best way to like now kick in is to start. Just start from where you are and then what you have to start. And also you might also be thinking about resources, data. There are so many ways to it. I've done like a lot of things. I've gone to mosque, gone to church to charge, gone to library. I've gone to like,
Part of the
I can't
reality.
forget there's this particular church around my area at the time. They usually have extension outside. We'll
Yeah.
be there, we'll charge. My laptop only lasts for 2 hours, 30 minutes. I'll make sure I charge it full. And that's the only way I can, keep up with things. So I know those are part of the struggles, maybe.
100%.
But most important thing is you want to show, like you should do. And then just start anyways. But one important thing you should also know that you should not make tech as a session option.
What do you mean?
Yeah. So a lot of people have first option. Now, my mom wants me to be a doctor. I study pharmacy. I'm now a graduate. Okay, maybe pharmacy is not the right one to use because I think doctors enjoy it in this country and this world. Right, let me say you study max comm or like any other course that there are a lot of millions of graduates like probably every quarter or like two quarters. So you need to survive. So that way, probably after mass comm, you got referred or like a lot of people are promising you, your dad, your mom has connect and then they want to connect you. So that way, you might take as second option. And they will find me a job, don't worry. Let me just see and play around with it, right? But if you take it as first choice, like it's either tech or nothing, like
right.
I'm going to give it my all. So it means that you open your mind to possibilities of what are some of the things I need to do? How do I start? How can I start doing it? Not just knowing them, but doing those things that you know how to start with. So that way you can put all your mind in, just like the way I did, like, it has to be tech or nothing. So that way you don't take it as a second option, you go all in, you put in all your best. And you have all seen like on the internet that a lot of people transition into tech and they're doing well on their own. That's like them committing full time and then making sure that they make the most out of it.
Yes, I mean, so from what you said, there are quite a number of struggles, to be honest, from light to data
a lot.
to quite a number of things, right? And most persons that I've met, they have like this challenge. Say, okay, I can't keep up. And one of the major ones is the fact that, I need something to be bringing in money for me first. Before I be like, I want to take tech as my first option. How would you say they should navigate that path?
Yes, I think it's a little bit tricky, right?
Right.
Because everybody have like a different point of view and also like different background. Some people can, maybe they're still at home, like there's somebody taking care of them when it comes to food. And so all they have to do is like maybe get money for their wares, subscription, their girlfriends and all of that. But some people, they don't even have anything at home.
Exactly.
Right? So when you tell that kind of person, you need to learn tech and
take it as your first option,
the person will be like, I need to survive. So this is what I've seen, like cases I've seen, and even like some people that I know personally, what they do. When they try to look for something to, eat first, what they do is that they give themselves like 1 year, maybe 1 year, next 1 year, and then they save up aggressively. They don't buy things anyhow. They buy only the things that they need at the time. They save up aggressively, quit the job if they can. Of course, they can't combine tech and that job because you spend more time learning. Quit the job and then try to use that savings to take care of themselves like 1 year, one way. So it depends. 1 year might be for somebody else. Maybe you is 2 years that you need to save up aggressively. That's one approach to it. So when you save up, you can now use that for data. You can buy a PC. If you need to on-gen, you can save up for fuel and then on-gen. That's one way to it. So that way, at the end of the day, you now know that you don't have any other option and then you need to double down day and night. That's one way. The other way is if you are the type that they still provide for at home, like you still have like this option to fall back to your parents, then it's good for you then. What you just need to do is use those opportunities, use the light, the gen. Maybe your mom or your parent, your guardian would always on-gen. Use that opportunity to struggle, like find a way to get a PC. Use that to charge your system. Use that time instead of using it to watch film or like watch things.
Netflix
and chill. Like spend that time to like upskill and then be true to yourself.
Right.
Be intentional about it that you want to. That way, you always see every time spent in the house as an opportunity to learn something. And then that's how you can, try it out. This is not one size fits all, but these are some of the things that I've seen that people have tried to keep up themselves, and then to keep up with like the way things are moving, and then balancing bill and also personal life.
Oh yeah, I mean, from my own perspective, I had like the parents one, but I actually don't want
Rich
to
kids.
ask. I actually don't want to ask,
Yeah.
right? Because I mean, I'm now an adult. I just finished school.
Yeah.
So what I did was I went to a cafe. So I was working for a cafe.
Yeah.
And so because cafe work is kind of like related to tech in one way.
Yeah.
So I was working in a cafe and was being paid.
Yeah.
I was also learning by the
Yeah.
side. So I think one for people looking to also transition, you can do a job that's kind of like
related.
Yeah.
I probably use it to save up, or if you can combine it with your learning, because I know combining sometimes is always stressful. Because I don't know the type of job, but majority of the jobs you might get for you to keep up will take up your time, and the entire day by 9 p.m. you are coming back, you're already tired. So it's very hard to like combine. But if you can combine, fine. If you can't, then you might probably need to just like give yourself time. Use that to save up aggressively, like save like 70% of your income
at the time.
Depending on the number of like the amount of income rather.
Yeah.
Then save up. After saving up, you can now use that to, start your journey. And a lot of people still do it nowadays, even not from like a newbie perspective. People that want to switch jobs, they do that too. People that got laid off, they do that. Some of them save up aggressively, so don't let me say laid off, because laid off could be shocking and it might be something you're not prepared for. But let's say you want to switch roles, or you just know that this role is not the role. You can give yourself, I want to save up aggressively in such a way. So once I'm out of job, I can have a runway for like 6 to 1 year, that at least to live okay.
Okay, so now let's talk about how did you get your first Web3 job? Because I mean, transitioning from like Web2 to like Web3. I mean, you mentioned that you were doing quite a number of content creation, technical writing, and you got gigs, which is really, really cool. And how did you like get your first job? Because you said one of the role that you feel like can actually match what you're looking for is DevRel.
Yeah.
So how did you get your first Web3 job?
Yeah, so I think that's a very good question. Like when you mean job, you mean full-time job, not gig, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's Twitter. I got my first job from Twitter. Yeah. And
I think most persons have said that too. Like even Mr. Ayo said he got his first job
I got
from
my
Twitter.
first job from Twitter.
Amazing.
I got my first Web2 remote job too from Twitter.
From Twitter. I think everybody should just be on Twitter, just be living on Twitter.
So I think like when you put yourself out there, like at some point the opportunity will present itself.
So
for Web3 role, and I think my first Web3 job was very, very interesting because there was no interview. The interview was to discuss salary.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Not like, come and tell us what you can do or whatever.
So person reach out and be like, are you interested in this role? They seen what I'm doing with Web3 Afrika and then what I'm doing like in the space generally. Will I be able to like, am I interested in this design? So I said, oh, okay. Yeah, let's chat. And he said, are you available to join in the next one hour? And that's how I joined the call. I joined the call. We discussed. He sent me the contract. I even delayed it. And the reason why I delayed, I wasn't sure. Like,
OG.
It was too fast for me. Like,
I'll be like, okay, what's this? What's going on?
I'm sure I want to do this. Like, I told them like, they should just give me like a couple of days to think about it. And also, I was looking through their profile, searching aggressively if I could find anything, looking at the founder, looking at everybody, the team structure, and that's how I got my first role. And that is not like magic. This is because of like some of the things I've done online and my community participation, and because that kind of align with what DevRel is today. So if you are maybe software engineering, that might not be the case for you because probably you don't have like a lot of things to share. But opportunity do comes from like socials a lot of not Twitter alone, but LinkedIn. But the interesting thing is that after my internship and I got full-time role separately, the next role was Twitter. Somebody tweeted about a backend engineer. I got it. The next one was referral.
Okay.
And then the next one was Twitter again. And then the Web3 on Twitter. And then to the one my current role is not Twitter, but I applied for this one. But then Twitter has worked like 4 times, 5 times when it comes to full-time role.
Full-time role, yeah.
But it has always worked when it comes to gig.
Okay,
It's even the fastest way, because when CEO or like head of recruiter or like head of people reach out to you and say, oh, maybe they want you to write a content, they'll just be like, I saw this your content. I love it. Can you do this for us?
Yeah.
You say yes. Say, okay, how much do you charge? I charge this amount. Okay, done. Send me your this thing. I'll send you a copy of contract. Send me your email address.
Right,
That's
it.
like the fastest.
Right.
Because now you are not trying to prove yourself. They sing. But in some cases, some of them I saw these, but can you please send me more of your content samples? We have something interesting you might be interested in. Yeah, and that's pretty much. So take your Twitter seriously.
Take your Twitter seriously.
Like, very serious.
Yeah. So I mean, that's quite like a lot. Twitter is like a resourceful place, to be honest. And so what are like the major challenges that you have working in Web3 for like the past years? Do you deal with mental health issues or like burnout?
I think, oh my God, the mental health thing is messed up. Yes, I think one of the things you should know, like in the space generally, is that the space is moving really fast.
Really fast.
Like really fast. So there are so many things to keep up with, so many things you need to learn. People are churning out great tech, great products every day. So yeah, for sure, mental health is nowhere to be found. Like it's messed up completely. Yeah, you should just forget about the mental health thing, at least when you are in like first few years. Maybe later on when you start making a lot of money, then probably you can now start doing work-life balance and all of that. Yeah. So, but that's not the only challenge. Another challenge is, I know like a lot of people talk about opportunities a lot, but still people are not getting opportunities. Yeah. So, you know, the Web3 space is bear market, bull run, you know, and that's also contributing like to the opportunity you get to see. But one thing that might probably stand out is if you're on the technical side, maybe you can now find a role that aligns with technicalities more than just putting you out there. So an example is if you like community manager, there are hundreds, thousands of community managers. You know, think about it like non-technical roles. There are thousands of people. So you might be struggling there.
Yes.
Also, when it comes to technical, there are hundreds or thousands of people too. But probably your skills, your talents can make you stand out, give you some edge over some other people, and also networking. So that's one, like getting opportunities is also still a challenge. It was a challenge for me also at some point because I applied to role, I got rejected, I couldn't find role that I really wanted and all of that. Yeah, so.
Okay. So, I mean, what has been like the most rewarding moment for you so far working in the space?
Rewarding moment.
Yes, you'd be like, oh,
a lot. I'm not gonna lie. My first investment was because of transitioning into the space.
Okay.
My first real estate was
because
in the space. The type of job I got also is also the opportunity I got, like a lot of opportunity.
Yes.
Either speaking, writing, doing any of these things is because of the whole transition into the space. And one last thing that I've not like really shared like publicly is like relocation is also like part of it. So, and also, looking at your account balance and looking at where you started and be like,
oh no,
thank God for but maybe not up to like I don't know, like I'm contented with anything I have. I know a lot of people might have like +5 or ×10.
Yes.
In fact, I've seen somebody portfolio, like one of his portfolio, 100 million naira, sorry, $100,000 plus. One of his portfolio. I'm like, okay, am I even in Web3? Oh my God, like, am I doing the wrong thing? Like, how are you making
thinking about your life?
And that's just one portfolio.
Right.
And somebody even posted his end of the year wrap from one of his banks.
Yeah.
And he has transferred in and out, like transfer out over almost 300 million naira. I'm like, where are you people getting this money from? And so that's just one bank.
Yeah.
Then he now posted like a response where somebody was asking him, boss, check your Providus, check your GT bank. I'm like, okay, yeah. So grateful for like the opportunity and also grateful for like the people I've met in the space. met a lot of people, met a lot of amazing people from different backgrounds, doing a lot of things, doing amazing stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like quite a number of things, because some of those things that you said also, like, you know, is applicable to me also.
Yeah.
So what's your day-to-day like as a DevRel engineer?
Yeah, before that, and also meeting somebody like you.
I mean, it's a privilege.
Yeah, like Web3 tech and all of that.
Yeah.
So day-to-day as a DevRel engineer.
Yes, as a DevRel engineer.
That's a good question. Whenever I pause and say that's a good question, it must be tough. Yeah. So day-to-day as a DevRel engineer is like okay, for me personally, I wear so many hats when it comes to my current role at my company. And also same applies to my colleague, because we do like a lot of things. We do content, but on a day-to-day activity, once I'm up and ready to work, I have meetings to do the entire day. And apart from meetings, I have like developer support I also do, which is like the public developer support.
Yeah.
And I also have like partners support.
Integration.
Which is an advanced or high-level support that requires even more time. Then I account for all of those. And then now I have my own personal projects, because every quarter we have projects we need to work on and deliver. So these projects include, when I mean project, I mean things around workshop, speaking, blog, documentation fix, upgrade, update, and all of that. So those type of projects are something I also like pick and work on a day-to-day. And also I write code. Those projects like include codes. Include you building dApps, building back-end application, trying to test things out, building smart contracts, building front-end application, building a lot of tools, and then trying to write a tutorial to bring all of these things together, or preparing for a workshop. So in a day, I'm jumping from like calls to my own personal project, to support, to developer. And these are like, there are also projects like developer newsletter. There are projects like content creation that you need to do on the side. So if I'm not in any meetings or doing anything that is outside those projects, then I'm probably preparing for a talk or preparing for the next workshop. So that's typical like my day-to-day. And it runs like the entire day. Sometimes I try to keep it like within working hours, but sometimes I can't. I have to like work.
Rollover.
And it rollovers, like my sleep is messed up and all of that, which is part of like the interest. You know, sometimes when you are doing something you are really interested in, you get to see all of these things, and you don't see it as job, you see it as something like,
sometimes you even forget to sleep, and it just
and you be like, oh my god, it's 3 p.m. So it's 3 a.m. I haven't slept. I need to. So
I mean, totally,
that's very much like a day-to-day. It includes a lot, but that's like a high level of what it looks like on a daily, like daily, back to back. And some days probably you have lower support requests, so you don't need to really look at support. So you use those time on projects. So for example, for me, like Wednesday and Thursdays are like less meetings and more. So I use that to focus more on my project and some of the things, strategy documents that I need to create and stuff I need to work on.
Amazing. I mean, that's quite a number of things, because as a DevRel, you wear so many hats, like you mentioned. And so let's talk about Web3 Africa. At what point did you feel, okay, I think we need to do Web3 Africa?
Okay. There was never a point, I think. Because Web3 Africa was, I would just talk about like what started the whole thing. So there's Developer DAO. Developer DAO, So 2022, Nadia traveled to Nigeria. Was in Nigeria. He gave a talk at Oscar Fest 2022. I was also a speaker then. So I was having a discussion, not just me, with a group of people. I don't know those guys, right? They were asking him, they wanted to do something like Developer DAO Nigeria or Developer DAO Africa, like an extension. Then Nadia mentioned, that's a good idea, but if they could do something niche to the African ecosystem, because at the time, companies were supporting Developer DAO, so they don't want it to be like some of the decisions Developer DAO will make, because you're an extension now, so it will definitely get to you at every part of the world that you are. and that might not be favorable to like what we want in African
Africa.
ecosystem. So I understand, okay. So that was when the idea of, okay, what is that thing that we can do that is going to be like African niche and then for us in the African ecosystem? And that's how the whole concept of Web3 Africa started. It was not Web3 Africa, like the name Web3 Africa was not Web3 Africa at the time.
Okay.
It was just a community that I want to create and all of that. And also he connected me with some other people. He connected with me with Tony, who is a co-founder of Web3 Africa. We started the whole thing together. And I was really impressed, and I really saw like the alignment in having a discussion with him, like his interest in how he wants to help the community. So it kind of aligned, and that's how we started. I met Zara, who leads our design, met Jenny, and Jenny to Ajoke. These are people that handle, and then now we even have way more people that moderate, Eniola, Koha, Bami, Xenox. We have a lot of people, Kanayo, a lot of them that I can keep naming. They are part of the moderators now, but for the starting, it was just like about 4 of us, 5 of us that started, way back. And the whole idea was, how can we create a community that serves a purpose of a community on its own? So even if Idris is no longer interested, the community should be a community driven by the community on itself. So that's how the whole idea was born out. And then we created a Discord server, small, like bit by bit. We, grew up, and now we are about over 15,000 across like all our socials, our members and newsletters, and all of our point of connection to like all our members. Like we can see all the stats working. And since then we've done a lot of things: hackathon, trainings, events, physical events, virtual events, real life events, because the community is solely on education. So if there's no education, you can't find us there. Education is something that we can use to encourage our builders, resources, and all of that.
Amazing. So I'll say like second to the last question, because I'm particularly interested in how Web3 Africa has actually accelerated your own career.
So one thing about like community activities, right? So if you are contributing to a community, forget about the fact that probably I'm the founder or like the co-founder. If you are contributing to a community, you should be part of the community that you are contributing to, and you should be part of your contribution. Before Web3 Africa came into the picture, I've been a mentor in Freecodecamp. I did their technical coordinator, contributed to their backend. So I've been doing all of these things, and then during interview, I always talk about my contributions there. So it's something I'm really proud of, right, to talk about. So the same thing goes for Web3 Africa. When I started doing the whole movement of Web3 Africa, I talk about it during my interviews for any developer advocacy role that I was doing there. And people were like, oh, that's good. Like he kind of told me another perspective about what the world wants to see. The world actually wants to see how committed you are to your community, how you are giving back to the community. And that has really helped me, even with opportunities, listening here, like push me from one stage of interview to the other, because of my contribution to the community and something I do outside my day-to-day activities.
On the final note, what would be like your final words to people looking to transition into, DevRel? Say, okay, they're in, Web3 and they're looking to like do DevRel.
I think the dev before the rel.
Dev before the rel, of course.
That's one thing you should note. The dev before the rel, that means you need to be a developer first before you try to talk about the relations. Before you try to do community things, because if you're not a developer, there's no way you can explain concepts to like developers or like help developers. Because developer relations person is somebody that you can see as a point of contact to help you do so. But if the person does not speak your language, then how does the person want to help? It's not easy to help if you don't speak my language. So I think the dev first. Then when you get that level of technicality, you pick up a skill, and then you are good to go with it. Then you can now start thinking about writing, thinking about, if you are the type that love like showcasing video tutorials and stuff, you can do that. And then speaking also is part of it, right? Like speaking at events, your local event doesn't have to be like the big event where you send in an application and then they will now reject you, now be feeling bad. So you can start from your local community, GGG groups,
right?
Your local community, meet people that are founders of something, and then they are doing a program, volunteer to speak there. So build up that relationship, thing, that relations part of the DevRel, and then try to be part of an active community. So, for example, now if you're part of Web3 Africa now, if you volunteer to be a moderator and then you're doing all of those things, you're already preparing your mind, yourself for like what is coming. So it's easier for you to also talk about it in your role. Like when you're interviewing, people want to learn about what you've done before they give you opportunity and before they will trust you that you can do it. Yeah. And also that will also help you during the interview. So there's something I do during the interview, right? I try to turn the table during the interview process. So when you tell me introduce yourself, I will spend like 7 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes introducing myself. You can ask me like, what am I talking about? So I don't rush in my introduction.
Okay.
I'll give you the one-liner, fine. But when you tell me about yourself, you are giving me the opportunity to tell you more about me.
Yeah.
So what I do is I talk about that one-liner part, and then I now pick community management, what I've done in the community, any community I've ever volunteered for. Number one. Number two, I talk about my writing profile. Anybody I've ever written for. Even if it's my personal blog, I talk about it. Section 3, I talk about my technical skills.
Yeah.
What I've done, the programming languages I've used before, what I know how to do, what I use on a daily basis. And then section 4 or section 5, I talk about my speaking
engagement.
Like, where I've given talks, the biggest one, the total talks I've given so far, every other thing. And then I now round it up with like a summary of the entire thing. So I don't rush into my introduction. So that way, you have already answered a lot of questions. Like, most times I get a feedback like, that was so detailed, and like the interviewer will now look at their script and be like, you literally answer like
all the questions.
So now tell me about what do you do outside work? I'll be like, okay, now we can talk. So now the conversation will now change because you show an impression, give them an impression that this is what I do. This is how I do it. In fact, I always advise that if you are going for an interview like that, have a screen in front of you, a screen where you note all these things I mentioned in sections.
Yeah.
And then look at the screen. You just point here, look at the screen, and then use that to like just for thought process.
Yeah.
So as you're staring at your screen to look that particular thing, you can remember, the places you've written content, all of those things. And then you can make sure that you just don't rush, make sure that you go through everything. That way you can fully express yourself and then hopefully get the opportunity. Probably you'll be moved on to the next stage of technical assessment. Some people, technical assessment, they'll give you something to build. Some, they'll give you something to present on, and then you present about it, and that's it. And if they find you fit, they'll give you the opportunity.
I mean, I've had an amazing time speaking with you today because, I mean, from like all of the insights you have shared, I wouldn't have known that, you have to bring your CV again.
Yeah.
While introducing yourself.
I'm serious about it.
I mean, that's like quite a number of sections for your CV.
If you guys that reach out, I remember clearly, like, if you guys are probably transitioning and they don't know what to expect in intro calls, that's what I usually tell them. These are like things I do myself. And this is something I just learned from watching few interviews, like mock interviews from people. What's really stand out is the impression you give your interviewer. Because sometimes the interviewer is not even the person that wants to decide if you get the job or not. But that lasting impression that you give the interviewer that, no, this one looks like somebody that would do the job. That's what the interviewer would take back to the actual hiring manager and tell them, hey, see this guy? See, this one is good, but see this one.
Have him on chokehold.
Make sure that you keep track of him. Then maybe technical skills might now, if you are lucky, pass technical assessment, then you move on to salary discussion.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have come like to the end of the interview. Do you have any final words for our viewers, especially for Web3 folks?
Yeah, I'll say like it's not going to be an easy journey, but it is possible. Definitely it's possible. It's not very easy. It's not going to be easy. That's the truth. A lot of rejection. Just prepare your mind for rejection. Like rejection should be something you breathe every day.
Right.
So the more you apply, the number of your rejection will increase. So if you apply aggressively, also expect rejection aggressively. I've gotten rejection in 5 minutes. Yeah, that was auto rejection.
Okay.
So like, be prepared for rejection. Be prepared for all of these things. So that way you won't be disappointed in so many stuff. And additionally, there are some job or opportunity that is almost there and then you get rejected. It still affects me to today. Like I feel so bad.
Right.
I feel so sad sometimes, rather. Where I would think like, oh yeah, this gig or this opportunity, yeah, I'll get it. Like green light everywhere. And all of a sudden, maybe they will ghost you or they will just say, oh, they find somebody else. You should just see that, oh, thank God it's not my fault, it's not my problem. I'll double down. And then you treat every rejection as an opportunity to grow.
All right. It was nice having Idris here today. I mean, I've learned quite a number of things, and I'm very sure you've also learned a ton of insights from his experience. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content as this. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.